What's up, everybody? It's your boy Rashad Buie. Consider hitting that like and subscribe button as I upload videos on a weekly basis covering the hottest topics in sports, especially if it is OU related. This is Ballin' with Buie. Today I want to talk about one of my favorite times of the year. It has finally come upon us, the Women's College World Series. Started with 64 teams in the tournament, and now we're down to 8, and a lot is going to happen in the next couple days. This is the best time of the year for softball, obviously. It's a Women's College World Series. So let's break down. I'm going to give you my tournament predictions. I'm going to go a little bit more in depth about the first matchups in the Women's College World Series, but after that I'm just going to talk about who I think is going to advance from that point. But left side of the bracket, first game, James Madison versus number 1 Oklahoma. JMU exploded for multiple runs in the 6th inning to beat Missouri in a tiebreaker game, 7-2. You kind of thought it was going to be a close game, which it was. The scoreline doesn't show how close the game actually was, but JMU was able to do something that's never been done before, and that is advance to the Women's College World Series for them. But they're probably the biggest surprise of the tournament. There were two unseeded teams that ended up making it to the World Series, and I think JMU is the bigger surprise of the two because it's their first ever Women's College World Series. Oklahoma, on the other hand, did Oklahoma things in the Super Regional. They walked through easily. They got a 4-2 win and then a 9-1 domination of Washington to improve to 5-0 in the tournament. In the bottom half of the bracket are OSU and Georgia, which are two teams that beat Oklahoma. So Oklahoma, if Oklahoma advances in this first game, they're going to be matching up against a team that beat them, gave them one of their 2 losses. Either way, it folds. But I got OU beating James Madison. I don't think it's going to be close. I mean, it's a great story for JMU. It just sucks that you're about to run into Oklahoma because they're going to absolutely hand it to them. So I got Oklahoma advancing really easy in that first matchup. Moving down on that left side of the bracket, like I said, Georgia and 5 seed Oklahoma State. Georgia swept Florida in the Super Regional. I did not expect that to happen. I didn't think Georgia was going to make it out. But here they are. They swept Florida 4-0 and 6-0. Not only did they win, they shut them out 2 times. Obviously, no one expected them to make it to the Women's College World Series because they weren't seeded, and you think that Florida is going to make it out of that Super Regional. But anyways, Georgia's on a tear right now. They're 5-0 in the tournament, and they don't look like anything's slowing them down to this point. Oklahoma State, on the other hand, they scored in the 5th to win that tiebreaker game against Texas. They ended up winning 2-0. And OSU has looked pretty good this postseason. I know they dropped that one game to Texas, but I think they've looked very good. They haven't fallen off whatsoever, and they look like they're ready for a World Series. But in this one, I think Georgia is a hotter team of the two, so I have Georgia slightly winning. I think it's going to be a very good game, though. Now, on the right side of the bracket, we have number 11 seed Arizona versus number 3 seed Alabama. Arizona swept 6 Arkansas, who I thought was going to be able to make it out of that Super Regional. They swept them 10-4 and 4-1. They're surprising me. Arizona, I did not imagine them to be in this position. I didn't think they were that good, but they haven't dropped a game, so clearly they're doing something right. Can they continue their run? I'm not sure because Alabama, on the other side, won a tough battle against Kentucky 4-3 and then 4-1. Kentucky gave them a run for their money, which Kentucky, I thought they would. I didn't think they had a chance of winning, but I thought that they were going to be closer games than people probably projected. But anyways, Alabama hasn't looked too solid in the postseason. I'm not sure, or not that they haven't looked solid, but they haven't been dominating teams like I expected. They still looked very good, and I don't know if anyone's going to be able to stop them on that side of the bracket because they're still a very good team, but they just haven't looked like they did in the regular season, in my opinion. But nonetheless, I think Alabama is going to be able to get past Arizona fairly easy. Now moving on down, you got 10 Florida State versus 2 UCLA, and Florida State keeps finding a way to get things done. I did not think that they would beat LSU. I thought LSU was the better softball team, but Florida State handled business against them. They don't put many runs up on the board, Florida State, but they don't allow their opponents to score on them. They have been struggling to get teams have been struggling to score against Florida State in this postseason so far. So I think that's a huge advantage if you're having a lot of confidence on the pitching mound. But UCLA, they dropped their first game against Virginia Tech, but they were able to win. They recovered and were able to win the series. But I don't know what is happening with UCLA. They have not looked like the same team that they have all year, but they're struggling heavily, and I think it's just all around. Like, pitching hasn't been what it was, fielding hasn't been what it was, hitting hasn't been what it was, and they're going to have to find their rhythm, because it's the Women's College World Series, and it's the best of the best at this point. But with that being said, now I'm not going to give you my bracket breakdown completely, so it's double elimination if you don't know, and then in those the first game in the winner's side of the brackets, the loser of that game usually flips in the elimination bracket. So if they're on the left side, if they lose that game, they'll flip to the right and vice versa. So OU, I have advancing, like I said, in Georgia to set up an OU Georgia winning bracket game where I think OU is going to get it done. I can't imagine OU losing to a team twice. You saw what they have done at OSU since losing to them that one game. They've absolutely dominated them. But I got OU sliding past Georgia fairly easily. I don't think it's going to be too close of a game, but we'll see. And then so that means I have JMU and OSU in that bottom half of the bracket, and I have OSU advancing. Great story for JMU, but the road's going to end here. OSU is going to send you home packing. Now I'm going to jump to the right side of the bracket before I tell you who I have in that second elimination game. But I have Bama beating Arizona, and then I have Florida State beating UCLA. I think UCLA is struggling heavily, and Florida State is in a nice groove. So I think Florida State is going to be able to get past UCLA to set up a Bama-Florida State matchup, where I have Bama winning that one and sending Florida State to the losers bracket. But in that first losers bracket game on that side of the bracket, I'll have Arizona UCLA, and I'll give the edge to UCLA. They're the Pac-12 champs, so I think they're going to handle business against Arizona like they did in the regular season. And that is going to set up a matchup between UCLA and Georgia, because Georgia is going to flip to the other side. And then the other loser side bracket, I have OSU and FSU. So OSU and FSU, I think OSU is going to be able to get it done. I think that will probably be a very good game if that matchup happens, OSU and FSU. But I give a slight advantage to OSU. But I don't know if that will happen. But that's what I have happening. And then on the other side, I got UCLA and Georgia. And I think Georgia's probably going to send UCLA home packing, because UCLA they can't figure things out, and if you haven't figured it out by this point, then you're in trouble. So I have UCLA going home after that second elimination game. So it sets up a matchup between OU and OSU, where OSU would have to get 2 wins, and I don't think that happens. I don't think OU drops a game, and they make it to that national championship with ease. On the other side, I have Bama, Georgia, and I think that could potentially be a very good series. I know that they're SEC foes, so they've met each other in the regular season to this point. But I think Georgia, they just have looked really good, and I think they could cause Bama problems and maybe force that if necessary game. But I still have Bama advancing to the national championship to set up an OU versus Alabama national championship game. And in my opinion, OU is going to win. Like I said, OU I don't think drops in a game the entire tournament. So no surprise, I have OU as the national champs. So we'll see what happens. Catch y'all later. Deuces.